Yeah.
I think we're good.
All right. Oh, starting. All right. What's up, YouTube? I think you can see me now. Welcome to the awesemo.com live before lock show. As always, I'm Chris Spags, joined today by the even handsomer than Josh Engelman. Don't tell Josh I said that. Jake Hari. And yeah, Jake is our MLB expert. He is going to be here tonight doing that. Unfortunately, we don't have NHL tonight, which Jake is by far the best at. So sadly, we can't tap into his knowledge there. We will use him a lot for MLB. We will get into him. Hello, chat. Thank you for coming on board and joining us on this maiden voyage without Josh. Jake, are you a little worried? Do you feel naked without Josh here? Because I kind of do.
Yeah, definitely naked. Naked's a good adjective there. Yeah, no NHL tonight, so we'll just be talking some MLB. And then, did you say there was basketball tonight? I'm guessing there is.
There is basketball. Yeah. So Jake is not a basketball guy. Tonight he will become one by proxy when I yell about something. He's going to have to pretend to be interested like Josh is. G Power is asking the first question, which I'm sure we will be asked many times. Where is Josh today? Josh is now on a rotating schedule because Josh is being burnt like a candle on both ends.
Yeah.
So we decided that I'll be doing a live stream every day. We'll cycle in Josh and Jake. There might be some replacement for me at some points, but for now, at least, I'll be doing it every day. And Josh will come and do the morning videos and stuff, and he won't have to be a cam whore all day, basically. He can have a normal life. So that is the dream. Donovan Stockton, yes, we will do NBA, but we're going to do MLB up front. First, though, one quick thing. If you are an awesemo.com watcher or reader or a premium member or just a guy stumbling upon this channel, join our Playline contest, playline.com/r/awesemo, AWESEMO. If you go there, sign up now. They'll give you a free $5. You can play in our game tomorrow where you can guess the lines on, I believe, Jimmy Butler, I think James Harden, and a third person who I'm forgetting right now, but is also a great basketball player. And if you guess those lines, it's pretty easy. We'll give you some information in the day where you can, learn how Alex Awesemo is making his projections. And honestly, it's a great way to build your bankroll if you're trying to become a DFS pro. So join now, playline.com/r/awesemo. You'll see our contest for tomorrow in the lobby. Real easy, real painless. Jake, MLB, lots of games, well, not a lot of last-minute changes, but Eric Hosmer's a last-minute change that I saw come through. Where are we looking tonight? Where are the places that you think are most important for our hitters and stacks in particular?
Yeah, all right. So let me pull up what I have for just like the slate in general. So there's a few pitchers that I'm interested in, namely Robbie Ray, but weather is a little bit of an issue there. So I'm actually ending up fading Ray. I just don't want to mess with the weather, and I think I have a lineup that I'm pretty confident in. So I think Morton would be the pay up option I would go to if you needed to spend up, and he's probably got the highest upside. So Morton for 11-2. He wasn't in the spotlight pitchers, but he's a guy that I do have some interest in. And then Kenta Maeda, he's going to be the overwhelming chalk, I would think, but obviously a really good play against the Marlins, who don't really have much power in their lineup. Their on-base percentage is very, very low, and just not a lot of places he should slip up. He should be able to rack up some Ks. And then Tanner Roark is another guy that I'm considering, usually a guy that I never play, but I just love targeting against this Giants lineup. And the hitters you're really scared of in the Giants lineup are right-handed, and Roark is really good against righties. So I do have some interest in Roark, Maeda, and then Charlie Morton as well. So
what? No Weaver for you? I know Awesemo chimed in with Weaver. Yeah. I like Weaver a lot, but
so I get the Weaver play. I think he's just going to be a little bit too chalky for my liking, and since I'm a single entry player, I usually just make one lineup and put all of my money into that and enter it in the single entry stuff and the 3 max. So if I was getting a bunch of exposure to a bunch of different guys, I think Weaver would definitely be a guy I would have some exposure to. But I just think his ownership's going to be a little bit too high for how good of a pitcher I guess I think he is. So I think he's fine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's fine. I don't know. I just didn't end up on him. I do prefer Roark above him, actually, as weird as that sounds, which I would never have said, like, even a month ago when the season started.
So do you feel like, so you're not a straight like play the lines guy as much as some of our peers are at the site?
Yeah, so I'm probably the least Vegas oriented out of like Osimo and Josh. So yeah, but I mean, they're obviously really awesome players. So I certainly understand, and it makes a lot more sense to be more Vegas oriented when you're working with huge sample sizes of lineups like they are with 150 lineups. So
right, but a single, you're playing more of a game theory thing at that point, where you just have to get off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I obviously, like, as people who watch the stream know, this is my first season doing MLB. I told Jake before we came on the air, I had my best day ever yesterday, in part because I stacked the shit out of that Padres and Rockies game. And also picked pitchers well. I've just been using straight Vegas lines, and especially watching line movements, I feel like it's been helpful for me. But for Jake, as you guys have watched the videos in the morning, Jake knows everything about baseball, including contact rates and swing rates and all that stuff, but just sits in his beautiful mind. So if Jake is telling you something, there is a lot of validity to it, even if the Vegas lines don't back it up. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's a good time to be on the show. I think for me, last night I called the White Sox stack. And they weren't really like they didn't have a great Vegas total. I think it was like a little over 4 runs. But I just, like, Mike Leake was like awful against righties. His exit velocity was terrible against right-handed hitters. And the White Sox had a bunch of power guys. And then Moncada leading off, crushed. So hopefully you guys were on it, the guys that listen to the guys and girls who listen to the morning show that me and Josh did, because then you probably had some success because they were really low owned. So that was probably one of my better calls, but I wouldn't be expecting that every day.
Right. Guys in the chat, we will talk NBA shortly. Jake's experience is MLB. And again, like I said, he legitimately has a beautiful mind for this stuff, so we want to get that out of the way first. We'll go back. We'll kind of do the same thing we always do, moving back and forth between it. But if you put questions in chat, I'm making mental notes and stuff to revisit as we go. So we'll go back to NBA in a little bit. So I guess, okay, so you put your balls on the line yesterday with the White Sox. You had a really good call. If you had to do the same for let's say one stack tonight that's going to be unconventional, where would you go?
Unconventional. Let's see. I don't know if it's really unconventional, but I really like the Brewers and the Rangers.
That's actually what I was going to say. I was just doing that before it came on. I was like, oh, the Brewers look good.
Yeah,
we have a couple A grades on Osmo's rankings for the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they have a pretty decent run total, 4.8 runs from what I'm looking at right now. So it's not like it's super contrarian, but I think everybody's going to go to Coors, and they should, especially the Rockies side. I think the Rockies make for a really awesome stack. And then I think people will go to the Dodgers some. I do like the Dodgers quite a bit. But I think the Brewers might be my favorite stack of the night. I really like the lefties, specifically Yelich, Thames, and Shaw. So those are guys that, while I'm trying to finalize my lineup here, those are guys that definitely, Yelich is going to be on my lineup. Like, Yelich has just been crushing right-handed pitching, over 75% hard contact against righties this year, which is just nuts. He leads the MLB in that category.
Actually, so here are the Brewers that I had actually in the lineup I did just before we came on. I went with Pena at catcher. I did have Braun and Shaw and Yelich. What about Santana? Do you like Santana? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, he's certainly fine in a stack. Are you playing on DraftKings?
Yeah, DraftKings.
Yeah, so 3,500 for Domingo Santana is just fine with me. Are you using all 3 outfield spots for your Brewers stack?
Yep, I am.
Yeah, that's the only problem that I have with it. Like, I love all those guys individually, but I hate using all 3 outfield spots I want to get exposure to. And that's probably a mental note that I shouldn't that's sort of a bias. I just don't want to use all 3 outfield spots for one team, but I mean, it's a stack and I really like it, so I can't argue against Santana, Yelich, Kane, and who's the other? Oh, Braun. Yeah,
Braun looked good. Braun's numbers pop off. I mean, ISO numbers and his BABIP look really good versus the pitcher. So I like that too. I think, though, at a certain point, though, you might be unconventional by having all Brewers in your outfield because, people are going to think the same way. Like, oh, yeah, I should have a non-Brewer out there. And those guys all make sense, I think.
Yeah, no, they definitely do. So that's like the tough part about being a one lineup guy is you only have one. So like sure I could make 2-3 lineups, but then I feel like I'm spreading myself a little bit too thin. If I had 150 lineups, I would for sure have some full 5-man Brewers stacks with all 3 outfield spots occupied by Milwaukee.
That makes sense. All right, we'll go back to MLB in a little bit. Josh will bear with me while I talk NBA, so we have some questions there. People asking if get your NBA questions in now. I'll try to hit them as we talk. So the places that I'm looking tonight, the best team stack, I wouldn't say there's like a team stack that I find to be extra stellar, but I would say that the Miami Heat game is intriguing to me on both sides. That game, the whole series has been up pace. And the Heat can run as well with anyone. We saw last game they get production from a bunch of spots at the same time. Dragic, his price is down. Richardson's a little banged up, so that kind of worries me. A lot of people are asking about Richardson. As Shark in the chat says, there's Richardson himself said there's a 60% chance he's playing. I'm assuming he's gonna suit up. He might be limited. But I think that Heat side is really interesting. There is a little blowout risk, at least in terms of the Vegas numbers. But I do think that it's a game, a must-win game for them. If they lose, they're done. So they're going to throw everything they have at them. I wouldn't worry about a blowout. I would go with your James Johnsons, your Dragics. Dwayne Wade, I like a lot. Dwayne Wade had a 40% usage rate last time out, so he's going to shoot it. He's going to try to keep him in the game. The Heat look great to me. Philly also looks good. J.J. Redick will probably be super popular because he finally got shot attempts. But I don't know that I would necessarily want to go to him directly because I think that Miami's going to try to pivot, find a way to limit him. That makes Robert Covington a little intriguing to me. Maybe Dario Saric, but I think overall that Josh Engelman in the chat says this guy stinks. Bring back Josh. Thanks, Josh. Really helping us win over the chat. But overall, I think that the Heat are an interesting play. I would not go to Tyler Johnson. I don't think that Tyler Johnson is going to be get enough usage. There's so many mouths to feed. If I were going to scour for value, I wrote about this in my Switch and Hedge column today. On the Heat side, I think I would go look at Wayne Ellington a little bit. If they're going to throw everything they have out there, and that's the guy who can make up a difference fast. So if the Sixers get off to a hot run with that Philly crowd pushing him, Ellington could shoot him back into it if he gets enough minutes. So I think that's totally fair. In Philly, we've touched on those guys. I think Embiid's a great play. I worry a little bit about his production in the series, but I think that he's in a spot where that Philly crowd pushing him, he's a little more used to the mask now. He shot so poorly last game and still put up 40 fantasy points. So I think there's a lot of upside there. Ben Simmons has been one of the steadiest guys in the world, so Simmons looks great to me. I wouldn't go Bellinelli, even though I think Bellinelli is a fine J.J. Redick pivot. But I think that he can have a decent shot too, because Bellinelli fills it up. You want a guy like we talked about yesterday to fill it up as best we can. But I think that the chat. So just to go back real fast, if Milwaukee blows tonight, the pitchforks will be out, Jake.
If they don't, then all of a sudden, or if they go off, then I'm just a prophet, I guess. These guys are expecting this.
We were on the same page on our one call that I asked you to make without any preparation. So I feel like that has to be a good sign or a bad sign, given my penchant for being extremely wrong about one thing on any given day.
No, you're onto something. You're onto something for sure.
I hope so. Jay Mosh, Tatum or Gay. So let's talk about the Celtics Bucks game real fast up top. A lot of people are going to go to Giannis. Giannis is the cheapest he's been since actually last season. He's been over $10,000 all year. Tonight he's at $9,900. That said, I don't love him. I think he's an okay play. He's not been as good with Henson out. There's just something about the game flow where he's playing a different role. He's not getting rebounds. So I actually worry a little bit about Giannis, even though he is a great value. Middleton, I worry about too, because Marcus Smart is going to be back. And Marcus Smart is going to take somebody off the board. I don't think it's Giannis. I think it's going to be Middleton, which does make Brogdon a little more interesting to me, because Brogdon has been very disappointing. But if he's getting less defense, or rather there's more defense on a guy who's better, that should free something down the food chain where I think in theory Brogdon could be a better play. I don't feel great about it, but I think that there's something to it there. Bledsoe is interesting just as a price play, but he's been so bad this series. I wouldn't trust him if I were playing a bunch of lineups. On the Celtics side, we do have Jake is now talking from the Osmo handle. Jake is just, it's everybody's, we're all chipping in together in the chat in different ways. This is what we'll do. Whenever one of us is talking one sport, the other will chime in chat. I think that's probably the best way to approach it for now.
Sweet.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, that's sweet. Okay. So then what else on the Celtics side? Jaylen Brown I like a lot. His price is going to make people scared off, or maybe it won't because he had such a big game. Brown has been awesome all series, and Brown should be the guy who's the star on the Celtics. He is so fiery and so good, and these are not data points, but he's just such a key driver of offense for them, where I really want to see Jaylen Brown step up. He's also one of few guys on the team who are not affected by Marcus Smart on a per-minute basis. Jaylen Brown actually plays better with Marcus Smart, probably because he doesn't focus as much on defense because Smart takes one guy off the table. So Smart's okay to me. I would go Gay over Tatum because I don't think Tatum is as great a play with Smart on the floor. The Smart dominates the ball too much, and that's going to come from Tatum, I think. Tatum and Rozier. So that's where I feel about the Celtics. Let's see if there's anything else. Giannis or Simmons on DK and a GPP. I think Simmons is safer. I think Giannis has more upside. Simmons, to me, is a lock for 50 points tonight. So if you have a lineup where you just need to get 50 points and you can afford him, just take it and don't look back. But that said, Giannis has a lot of upside if he goes nuts. If that game breaks a certain way and he has to carry the load because Middleton's being swarmed, I think that's tough. But Giannis is an interesting play. Simmons, to me, is a steadier play. That's how I would say it. And Durant is a slam dunk tonight. So you got to weigh all these things together. Those are all three guys in the same price range, all possible to kind of work with. Is Sean Livingston a viable cash games fund? So let's talk Warriors Spurs real fast. I think that Livingston is a viable cash game punt. I question his upside in a tournament. I don't know that he has enough to get you there. That said, he could open up enough salary where you can then get 7 other guys who are great. So I think that Livingston is actually a pretty interesting play. I wouldn't go nuts on him because he's shown some pretty bad downside, but his usage rate the last 2 games has been good. I think he's actually kind of taking some of Iguodala's role, or Iguodala's just losing it, in the flow of all these guys needing to get shots. And I do like Livingston. I think he's okay. Antoine Murphy, I think we're healing. I think LaMarcus Aldridge will go overlooked tonight, and he shouldn't because he has the same upside as Giannis, same upside as Ben Simmons. Maybe not same as Giannis, but same as Ben Simmons. Similar to KD. I think he can get you to 50-ish, and he's a little cheaper. People are just always off on him. He's kind of like one of those running back plays. I think I said this in one of the streams. He's like the Frank Gore of NBA DFS, where people are just like, I don't want to play him. He's old. He sucks. And it's like he gets you what you need usually. So I think Aldridge, Gay, great plays. Whiteside, I'm iffy on for the Heat because I think that he's very dependent on Josh Richardson getting him involved. And if Richardson is hurt or Dragic takes more of the offense, it just seems like a situation where those guys aren't going to get Whiteside as much as Richardson did. Richardson just fed him alley-oops until Whiteside was engaged back in the game. And Whiteside's a lot like a puppy where you just have to keep feeding him. Otherwise, he just wanders off and might shit on the floor somewhere. So I think that's sort of the kind of play you need to kind of, you need to have a couple things fall into place. And I don't see that happening tonight for him quite as much. We will go back and do some more like either or questions. Actually, I didn't touch on Thon Maker, so I'll touch on him real fast. Thon is going to be popular tonight again because he's a salary filler whose minutes have actually gone up. He's not super productive, and he's gotten 5 blocks in the last 2 games to carry him. I don't see that happening again tonight. So actually, I have a little bit of Thon. I only did like 10 lineups tonight, I think. I have a little bit of Thon, not a lot of Thon. But I think that he's an okay play, not one I would trust. That's how I would leave it. All right, baseball questions. Jake, which combo? Lucroy, Lowry, Cordero, or Pena, Asdrubal, and Chris Davis?
Who was that first one?
Lucroy or Lucroy? I don't know. I feel like it's Lucroy, isn't it?
Where's that? Do you know who?
From Matthew Prodwell.
All right, let me try to find this question. Here, can you just ask that again?
It was Lucroy / Lucroy.
Oh, Lucroy. Jonathan Lucroy. Gotcha. Okay.
I thought it was Lucroy. Like I assumed that he's like French or something.
He probably just changed it. He's probably ancestors just
have some class, Lucroy.
Yeah. Okay. So Lucroy. Who else?
Lucroy, Lowry, Hold on, I just scrolled away from me. Lowry, Cordero, or Pena, Asdrubal, and Chris Davis.
The second one.
Chris Davis I liked a lot, actually.
Yeah,
he popped up for me. He's got a real good power matchup tonight where it seems like he can do something. I didn't find a great A's stack to go along with him, which, again, as we've talked about on the stream and Josh and Jake have talked about on their videos, stack. Yeah. But Davis looks like a good play. Who else, if you were to stack guys on the A's with Davis, who would you go to?
Yeah, so Chad Pinder. And I'm not a big BVP guy, and that's batter versus pitcher if you guys are new to MLB DFS. But Pinder is 3,300 on DK, batting second, and he's 6 for 6 against Hamels. And yeah, it's a short sample, but 6 for 6, and he's got a handful of home runs and then a handful of doubles in that time. Like, he clearly sees Hamels very well, and there's a reason he's batting second. So you can use him at shortstop or outfield on DK. I like Pinder a lot. Jed Lowry, I like a ton for 4,500. Just been hitting the ball really well, really hard. And then Matt Chapman would be another guy that I love to stack. So I really like the A's stack. I don't know that I'll get to them with one lineup. Cole Hamels is kind of in my kryptonite, stacking against him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that I have not been able to figure out. I haven't been able to time it right with when I want to stack against him. So I think I've stacked against him every single start this year.
Eventually you're going to get it right if you keep trying.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm doing it tonight. So with the lineup I have right now, there are no A's, and that scares me. It's a high run total, and I don't think Hamels is that good anymore. So I think he could get roughed up here, and I think those four, Pinder, Lowry, Davis, and Chapman, are the guys that I really like.
So I know you're not a Vegas lines guy, but I'm looking at it now. The line has flipped for the Oakland-Texas game where Hamels is now the favorite. His money line's out to -118. So there might be some justification in not going Hamels, or not stacking against Hamels, rather.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it if you don't stack against him. Like, I'm probably not going to do it, so I wouldn't say, like, it's the best stack. Like, I obviously think I have the best lineup, and since there's no A's in it, I wouldn't say they are the best stack, for me at least. I think something could be wrong with Triggs, who's the opposing pitcher, and maybe people are figuring that out, and they're hammering the Rangers here. I don't know that the line has much to do with something that Vegas thinks about Hamels. So
gotcha.
That's
okay,
what I'll say.
That's fair. Yeah, that makes sense. And that total is now up to 10, so that would make it the second highest overall total today. Second highest. Yeah, and then the San Diego Colorado games actually come down a fair bit. Opened at 11.5, now down to 10.5. Another valid reason to maybe not stack that game. It's still pretty appealing. There's a lot of good plays on both sides in that San Diego Colorado game. But if Vegas says something, you got to at least pay attention and perk your ears up and keep an eye out.
For sure.
Is there any weather stuff that's broken, Jake, besides the Orioles game being canceled?
Yeah, that I was just going to mention. So it looks like the Arizona-Philadelphia game, which has Robbie Ray in it, and that's a guy that I'm interested in. It looks like that game might be able to play, at least most of it. So I don't know. It could be a shortened game. If they start it on time, they may be able to just finish it up or go 6-7 innings and call it short. But there definitely is a storm that's going to hit Philadelphia. Like I'm looking at the radar right now. It's just a matter of does it get there at 8 Eastern? Does it get there at 9 Eastern? Because if it gets there at 9 Eastern, then you've probably got 5 or 6 innings out of Ray if he pitches well, and that's at least makes him more interesting and playable. Same thing with Velasquez for 7K. So I guess you can play players in that game specifically.
Marcos Amparo says the Pirates were good in water. Last I heard, that's a pretty good joke.
There you go.
It's not bad. I don't mind it. Actually, I did. So speaking of the Pirates, I did have one lineup with who's the pitcher tonight in that matchup? Cool.
Oh, Chad Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Did we like Cool at all? Because he stuck out to me like just based solely off of numbers. Again, this is what I look at. I look at the numbers that we're told to look at every day. Mm-hmm. And Cole stuck out to me as like a guy with a decent strikeout rate. The odds were kind of made sense. Is he not somebody in consideration at all for you?
He's not someone that I liked, and it was. I mean, the price is good, $6,900. it's a decent price for him.
It's a nice price.
Nice price, some would say. And he's just not a guy that I like playing. I gave him a chance last year. He's a guy that's prone to getting blown up, and he's kind of a loose cannon out there on the mound sometimes. So, like, that would be the price I would want to play him at in general, but with the weather and him not being a huge strikeout guy, I think it was just sort of an easy fade for me before the weather even.
That makes sense. Okay, here's a question for you, which is going to totally put you on the spot in a way which you might not be prepared for. Who is your best counterintuitive matchup tonight? Obviously, in general, you suggest going with a righty versus lefty, lefty versus righty for hitters. Who's a guy who you feel like is in a good lefty-lefty or righty-righty spot that kind of stands out as like, oh, he might get less played just because of people avoiding that?
Yeah. Corey Seager. That's pretty easy for me, actually. Dylan Peters has been giving up. I think he's in the top 5 for pitchers in average exit velocity against left-handed batters. And Seager for his career crushes.
I like the exit velocity, Jake.
Yeah. Seager, exit velocity is an awesome stat. Peters is 5th in the MLB, and that's for right-handed and left-handed pitchers. So he's getting crushed by lefties, and Seager crushes lefties. And I'm sure a lot of people know that if you've been playing MLB DFS for the last couple of years. You know Seager has sort of neutral splits, but like this is a matchup where I think he's got a pretty decent chance to hit a home run off Dylan Peters.
Ooh, that's a bold call. Are you going like the cancer kid route where Corey Seager might hit a home run for you tonight? Yes, you just called it out pretty hard.
I think, that'll be my bold call. I think Corey Seager hits a homer. I don't even think it's that bold of a call, but just because it's lefty and people will play Trevor Story and these higher price shortstops, maybe even Correa. Actually, man, shortstop's kind of ugly now that I'm looking at it, but I want to play Seager. I'm probably going to play Seager. He's 4,400, and I really like the matchup.
All right, I like that. I like this. So, like, I'm usually the one who has to make the bold calls that end up embarrassing me. I like that you're offering it up for free. It's like, didn't have to prod you. You're like, he's going to hit home run.
I'm glad. And come at me with the pitchforks when Seager goes 0 for 5. So,
he's due for some regression to the mean. You can always just say that.
Yeah, 50% isn't bad.
No, I agree. That's interesting. I like that. Who would you pair then with Seager if you were stacking? That's obviously a pretty low run total game, but going against a fairly shitty pitcher. Who else would you put on the Dodgers side?
Yeah, Kike Hernandez in the 3 spot. Really like him for 3,400. That's not going to be a secret at all. It's just too cheap. He mashes lefties. Grandal is not in the lineup, but I did like him. He's been hitting lefties a lot better this year. So Austin Barnes for 3,000 I think is still a really good catcher play on DK. Chris Taylor, really the top 6 for LA. So Taylor, Seager, Kike, Bellinger, Matt Kemp, and Austin Barnes. I like all of them.
Right. Oh, breaking news, everyone. Rob Gronkowski will return to the Patriots. In case you were worried about the 28-year-old who's holding out for more money, he will come back. So, good news, everyone.
I don't think he's hurting for money, though. I think he's doing all right.
Well, he's holding out, I think, for money. Do you follow football super close, or what? Are you only like a baseball guy?
I follow football.
Okay, so Gronk is like holding out for money right now, I think is what I was reading. And also he was like negotiating with WWE, which wasn't really reported, but I kind of heard that through the grapevine, and then there was like a couple articles about it where he was trying to get the Ronda Rousey deal where they're going to pay him like a couple $1 million a year to do wrestling shit. And apparently that was like a very real consideration that he was thinking about, either as a negotiation ploy or what. It's interesting. There's something weird with the Patriots, man. Like that team is... I can't wait for football. Like
they're kind of coming undone, is what it sounds like. The Patriots. There's the thing with the Brady's trainer and Gronk now, and Brady's not saying if he's coming back or not, and that weird documentary that I heard so much about.
Tom versus Time.
Yeah.
The Pats fans were watching that and so into it until he was like, I don't even know if I'm going to play again in the last episode. And they were like, fuck, he might retire.
Yeah.
Like,
just some weird stuff going on with the Patriots.
There's a chance.
They traded Garoppolo for some reason, for no reason, got nothing back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was one that kind of had to happen, but I tend to buy the stories about that where Brady must have forced somebody's hand, or is that was too weird. You wouldn't trade that guy at that point of the year with no real leverage. It was like an okay trade, but they could have gotten better. Just bizarre. But
and then he made out with his son, Josh says.
He did.
Yeah,
There's a
famous
He demands makeout sessions from his son every time. It's a little bizarre, but I don't know. I don't have my own children. I have dogs. I kiss them on the mouth, so fuck it, whatever works. We'll go back to NBA in a little bit. Just real fast though, we might do something for NFL soon. I really want to do a draft thing, like talking about the draft and like projecting guys and stuff. Might just be a part of this live stream, but something to think about. I'm ready. I'm fucking ready for football. I'm so ready for football. Or the definite. I know, but it's draft season, and I want to see these guys that they might take Baker Mayfield first overall, which is one of the most bizarre, stupid Browns things ever, especially. This guy who has been dissected so hard all year, and they've been he's not a great prospect. He does asshole things in the bowls, and then all of a sudden it's he might be the #1 pick because we just get paralyzed by overanalyzing these guys. And now Josh Rosen is too much of an asshole, even though he's pretty much the same amount of asshole as Baker Mayfield. And Sam Darnold is a better player, and and even Josh Allen, I get that. At least he's big and raw boned, and you don't really know. But putting Baker Mayfield, he was a second rounder. Now he's going to be going possibly #1. I will laugh pretty hard if that's the case. Anyway, we're talking DFS though, not just shit I want to talk about. So baseball we'll come back to again. If you have any NBA questions, put them in the chat.
Chris? Well, did we lose him? All right. Am I still frozen? Anyways. Yeah, if Chris is frozen, then we'll try to get him back on the call here. But if not, I will just keep going with this and we'll chat some MLB. So, all right. Thanks, Josh. I'm still good. All right. So, let's talk about these Coors bats a little bit. I'm going to talk about this guy, Eric Lauer, and I think we mentioned him a little bit on the show. Actually, I'll answer some questions. Jake, what are your thoughts on Vince Velasquez? Yeah. So I didn't really consider him. I thought this game was going to get rained out, but for 7,000 on DK with that run total, and I don't put a ton of stock in run totals, but I don't know. I mean, you can definitely make a case for Velasquez. I'm not super scared of anyone in the Diamondbacks lineup outside of maybe Descalso is actually probably the guy I'm most worried about. Let's see if we can get Chris back on here.
Hey, I have no clue what happened there.
All right. Here we go. We're back. All right. So I was just talking some MLB. They're asking about Velasquez, and yeah. So I'm sort of indifferent on Velasquez. I'm not gonna play him, but I certainly understand if you're a Vegas guy. I mean, go ahead. And it looks like Chris is frozen again. So I'm just going to keep chugging along. We'll try to get Chris back on this stream. All right, so Robbie Ray, I think, definitely becomes more in play. I'm sort of made a lineup that I'm happy with outside of Ray, so it scares me that I'm fading him, even though I do like him quite a bit. The Phillies do hit lefties pretty hard as a team, so I don't know. I mean, Ray does still make some sense. As you can tell, I'm a little bit confused on what to do with Robbie Ray. I don't really want to blow up my lineup right now. We're going to end that. Try to get try to get Chris back on here. All right. not online. All right. So yeah, my favorite stacks I think on the night are the Dodgers, the Brewers. Of course, you got Coors Field, Colorado. San Diego is actually not one of my favorite stacks of the night. I'm just sort of going to write them off. I do have some respect for Kyle Freeland. So, any love for Braun tonight? Yeah, I do like Braun quite a bit just because I am on the Brewers. So, I'll be looking at Braun, but I don't know if I'll make my lineup. I do have a slight lean to the lefties as far as the Brewers go. Choose between Jaylen Brown and Klay Thompson for me. I love guys that rain threes, so Klay Thompson is the guy for me there. Not a big NBA guy. Do you just play MLB or do you play NBA as well? I don't play NBA DFS. I do love watching the NBA, especially the NBA Finals. The last few years has been really awesome watching LeBron versus the
I think the people are conspiring against us where we're giving out too much good information.
All right. So you're back. Wait.
I think my Wi-Fi is just dropping. So if it drops again,
okay,
then I have no idea.
Let's see if we can keep you on here. They were asking about what I do, or if I play MLB or NBA or both. And I was just talking about the finals last few years with LeBron and going up against the Warriors. So I was a little bit flustered there trying to get you back on. But hopefully some of the stuff I said makes some sort of sense.
You're multitasking hard. I appreciate the fact that Jake, we do one live stream and my Wi-Fi decides to leave Jake on an island immediately.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Am I back on? Or are we all right?
Yeah, you're back on.
All right, cool. So we're back. So Jake, if you want to finish your story, you can. I'm sorry. I apologize to everyone at home. I blame AT&T. They're run my Wi-Fi and my phone, and I get shitty reception even though I pay for it. So, but
yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't know where I was at, but
So Jake is more an MLB guy. I'm more an NBA guy. We're both NFL guys, so that's what really matters. But I apologize for falling off, guys. So if you have basketball questions, get them in. If you have MLB questions, get them in for Jake because Jake is the smartest guy in the world for MLB. So make sure we hit him. Jizz Dragon has one right now for you, Jake. Would you go Trey Turner or Thames in a one-off?
Yeah, that's Thames for me. I think he's just got a really good chance to hit a home run against Ian Kennedy. Ian Kennedy serves it up. And especially the lefties, almost 50% hard hit rate versus lefties on the year. I just really love stacking against Ian Kennedy. So all the lefties for me, Thames being one of them. Even though he's batting sixth, I don't love that, but can definitely make an exception for Eric Thames at 4,700.
Yeah, I agree actually with that because Ian Kennedy is somebody we've talked about on the stream where I think I asked Josh directly, Ian Kennedy always looks like he sucks. Why do people play him? I think it was my childlike question. But he seems like a guy who's ready to get shelled at any minute. And I think that's where I'm feeling maybe the Brewers are the guys to do it today. At least that's my hope. I would like to win at baseball. It'd be funny if I were just better at baseball than basketball, even though I fucking couldn't care less. That's life.
Kennedy's nothing special. I think he's garbage. Gives up a ton of fly balls and hard contact. Really bad combination there for an MLB starting pitcher. And you got guys like Yelich and Shaw and Thames and Braun, and even Lorenzo Cain leading off, who can make him pay. And I think they will today. Pretty good hitting weather there too. So, is
there any news on the San Diego, Colorado weather, or is that something we're even concerned about?
Yeah, so there was some concern about that just in the last hour or so. So there might actually, it's possible that there could be a postponement for what I'm seeing and reading. So I don't know. That's definitely something you're going to have to keep an eye on, and that's why we have late swap. So the problem is if you pay up for all these Coors bats, like if you have a Rockies stack, you're going to be leaving a ton of salary on the table if that game doesn't look like it's going to play and you swap off. So if you're okay with doing that and pivoting to a Dodgers stack or maybe even a National stack in a really bad park, then by all means go for it. But it looks like it could be a little bit risky. Just for full disclosure, I do have one. Oh no, I don't have any Coors bats in my lineup right now. So I may not have to worry about it, but just wanted to put that out there that it does look like there's some risk for delays and even possibly a postponement.
Ooh, that would not be ideal. Yeah, as somebody who's heavily on Trevor Story and LeMahieu, well, that would be great. That would fit the theme of the stream where something always bites me in the ass. And now we can port that over to baseball. I can get bitten in the ass in multiple sports.
Yeah.
Living the dream here, Jake, one day at a time. Basketball questions coming in right now. Oh, okay. Metal Burning says a Rockies beat writer is optimistic about Colorado. If you can't trust Burning Metal, what can you trust? That's how I feel.
Yeah, it's like, and Coors Field always has really weird weather in Denver. They have these like pop-up storms, and like 1 second it can look really nice, and then all of a sudden you got a torrential downpour for 30 minutes or something like that. And we've seen, like in the past, if you played MLB DFS, where like the game looks fine, it looks like there might be a little bit of rain, and then all of a sudden it's a huge storm for 3 hours and the game gets postponed. So it seems like there's always a couple times in Coors Field where it's a really good spot a couple times a year, and then it gets postponed. So this could be one of those times, and I'm not fading Coors intentionally, but
might be a safer play.
Yeah, if you just don't want to deal with weather at all, that's why I love Milwaukee and LA. So
that makes sense. NBA questions. I'll hit you guys now. I see them coming in. Somebody asked Jaylen Brown or Clay. I think Osimo has Clay as a better play. So if you want to go with his take, Clay would be the guy. I think Clay is also due for some regression to the mean in terms of his shots. He just hasn't been hitting the last 2 games, and he was hitting the first 2 games. So I think the team total would make me think it's a good place to go. I love Jaylen Brown, though. For a guy who's not a Celtics fan, I am irrationally into Jaylen Brown. I think I might have 80% Jaylen Brown tonight in my 10 lineups. So I think that he's a really strong play. Shibby Bacon, I'm not super into Jason Tatum because Jason Tatum just loses usage to Marcus Smart whenever he's on the floor. And Jaylen Brown is the one player not affected by Marcus Smart. So that also affects my feelings on Rozier, who I see people asking about too. I don't think Rozier is a stellar play tonight just because every time he's played with Marcus Smart, it's just gone to shit for him. He hasn't played as well. Even during the season when Kyrie was hurt the first time, Smart was also hurt, and Rozier looked amazing. Then the second time when Kyrie was out, Rozier was playing alongside Smart, and Smart just ran the offense. He put up all the stupid shots that Rozier gets. And by stupid shots, I mean literally stupid shots, just him fading away from right inside the three-point line. But that's Marcus Smart for you. He's a great defender. He does some terrible, baffling things on offense, and he takes usage away from guys who are a little better. Jason Foster, Smart is not on a minutes restriction apparently, but he is playing through significant pain. So he might be ineffective. That's the risk with him. I still have no issue playing him, but there is some risk. Let's see, nothing else basketball. Sarge or James Johnson. For me, I think Sarge has a higher ceiling. I think James Johnson's a little safer. I have a little bit of both. If I had to choose, I would go James Johnson just because he's been so steady. And Sarge could easily kind of lose some shots to Redick, to Bellinelli, to Covington, obviously to Simmons and Embiid. There's so many mouths to feed there. Whereas James Johnson's just going to get boards. He's just going to get assists. He's going to get some wide open threes. That's sort of what I would want. But, just a thought for me. We have some baseball questions soon here because we just go back and forth. We're professionals, Jake and I. So we have some questions on Gallo with a 3-man Ranger stack, or would you go Thames for that?
Yeah, with that one, I would just keep, if it's a tournament lineup, just keep the correlation and go with Gallo and your Rangers. I love Gallo and Thames today, so it would just be a correlation thing for me to break the tie with those two.
Oh, a lot of people chiming in from Colorado. I didn't realize we had such a big Colorado following, but enjoy your legal marijuana out there, folks. And also, apparently they can't see 20 to 30 feet in front of themselves in some parts of Colorado. So that was worrisome for baseball, I would say.
Yeah.
Not the best.
No, it's I don't know. So this is just like early in the day, it looked like Colorado was going to be fine. Maybe some rain, but didn't look like anything too serious. But now you got to worry about it, and you're going to have to monitor that, and no one wants to monitor that after lock. So it's been a weird day of weather for MLB. Someone asks your thoughts on Luke Weaver versus the Mets. Yeah, I'm not on Weaver. He's just been You're okay.
Not expert is. Don't worry about it.
Well, I don't really think I'm an expert. I just look at the numbers and try to interpret them. But he's been disappointing, not getting the swings and misses that we saw last year. His whiffs per swing are down a little bit, which isn't super concerning, but the swinging strike rate isn't great. And he just hasn't been that great. So if he's going to be chalk here, and I think he's going to be, him and Maeda probably be the chalk pairing with some Coors guys, then it's a pretty easy fade for me for Weaver. The Vegas line does scare me almost, or he's a minus 185 favorite, so that is a little bit concerning. But I don't put too much stock into Vegas. So there are bats that I think could give him quite a bit of trouble. Asdrubal Cabrera, Michael Conforto, and Jay Bruce are all guys that I'd be scared of if I was playing Weaver.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Let's see, any other relevant question? Oh, Kane or Braun? Which way would you go tonight?
Kane or Braun? Oh, man. Probably Braun. But you're splitting hairs there, especially if it's a Brewers stack. Like, there's so many outfielders. Any worry about Corey Seager against a lefty? No, not at all. He's actually got neutral splits against lefties. So I really love him against both hands, but when he's going to be
and he is home run tonight, by the way. Let's not forget that.
That was my bold call from earlier in the show. So I think Seager has a decent chance to hit a home run.
Yeah, that's something too, guys. Just so you know, like there are some points that we touch on earlier in the video, which we try to circle it all back. We try to make it so people coming in and out can see, get the important answers they need. But that's one that Jake had a very spicy take on, where he thinks Corey Seager is hitting home runs specifically for him. I think is what Jake thought. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Jake, but I think you said Corey Seager loves me and he's going to hit a home run for me tonight.
He does. We talked about it. He feels good before this game, and he knows what Dylan Peters is going to throw him, and it's just a matter of whether it's going to be in the first or second at bat for Seager. So,
and he is local for me, by the way. So if you want me to go pop over to Dodger Stadium real fast, I'll put in the good word, give him a little shoulder rub, be like, hey, there's this guy. He's like, he's thinking about you.
Yeah.
Where would you? Okay, so if you don't like Weaver, I think you've said Rourke is one of your guys, but where would you go to save a little money if you're not going Weaver?
If I'm not going Weaver,
and let's say Rourke is out of reach price-wise.
Yeah, so I don't think Weaver's like a bad play by any means. It's just an ownership thing for me. So I think Rourke's going to be a little bit lower owned, so I'd just rather have him and pay up a little bit more because I don't have to spend up a ton for bats tonight. Man, below Weaver, it is really ugly. I guess I would go to Velasquez for 7K, or Davies for 7K. No, it would be Velasquez. Velasquez at least has some strikeout upside in this matchup against Arizona, but again, you're dealing with the weather concern there, so not a rousing endorsement for either one. But I guess Velasquez he's at least okay for 7,000. I
appreciate you not faking enthusiasm there. If you're not excited about a guy, you can't work yourself up for it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm just trying to, give you guys my honest opinion because I'm not going to fake a hot take. Like if I have something that might be a little spicy, then you're going to get it. But if I don't,
that's what this stream is all about, Jake. It's about having takes that speak to you. And as I can say firsthand, sometimes you get a little caught up in them. Sometimes you don't. But if you don't feel it for a guy, there's nothing wrong with that. Jake, why don't you have anything hanging on the coat rack behind you?
I do. I have a bunch of sweatshirts over here. But no, I take them down. I don't want to act like I'm advertising anything like North Face or Nike sweatshirts, Jordan sweatshirts. I
love people just judging your room.
Yeah, that's all right. Maybe
you are like a pretty fastidious guy. Like that's a very neat room.
Is it? Yeah,
I think so. Like, and you got your little photos up. Like it's looking sharp. It's like a good like bachelor Jake. Are you? I don't even know. Are you? Is there a wife? Is there?
Girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So you gotta be a little up then. You gotta have your shit in order.
Of course.
All right, fair enough. So now we've solved all of Jake's questions.
Yeah, I do. If you got free stuff, send it to me. I'm not gonna give out my address, but if you find it, go ahead.
Yeah, if you just show up to Jake's store with a box of stuff, he'll hang some stuff up on his coat rack. No big deal.
Yeah.
Who would you pay up for at pitcher? Is there anyone that you'd pay up for?
I mean, I don't like. I'm not in love with anything up top. Like I do like Ray. I do like Morton, and you don't have to worry about weather with Morton. I think he's a really, really good pitcher. I'm not loving the 11.2K price tag on DK against these Angels who are really disciplined. They have a bunch of guys that are under like 15% K rates against righties. So it's a tough matchup for Morton, but if you're betting on talent, it would be him or Robbie Ray.
That makes sense. Ray's been I feel like he's one of those guys who I played on maybe the first or second day of the season, and since then I feel like he's just been awful every time, and I'm like I've been out on him. But I think that actually, good point. Cisco in the chat, he did win a jersey because he won our play line contest the other day. Not to totally cut off my own point in the middle of it, but to do a plug. But playline.com/r/Awesemo, and you can win stuff from us this week. Yeah. Spags, I need to do something. Okay, so I need to do something about my window in the background, apparently. It's a little bright, but I'm in LA. What do you want from me? We have sun. It's not my fault.
Yeah, what's that like here in Minneapolis? Although it's been nice the last few days after a snowstorm last week.
You guys will be safe soon, I feel like. Your time is coming.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, actually, I had the window open at first, too, and it got so much natural light in where I was like, oh, I feel like this is not good for broadcasting from what I know. So that's something to consider. I don't know. This is not a professional operation. I don't know if you could tell that fully. Despite the quality of the stream and the information we give you, we are not in studios. We're just two men at home. One's room is looking real fresh, and one's just full of sun, and two dogs in the bedroom hiding and trying to be quiet.
Yeah, we're just two guys hanging out, giving some takes at our respective sports. Yeah.
Just two bros enjoying DFS. Sure. Bill Buttlicker, Josh is not going to be on the stream, at least for now, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it'll be me and Jake on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We'll talk a little more MLB stuff. But yeah, Josh was rotating in and out. Josh is too big time for you guys. That's actually what he said verbatim. He was like, if I have to spend another day looking at those pieces of shit in that chat, I will fucking off myself. And it was like, Josh, it's a little strong. Like, why are you coming off that hot? That's just who Josh is. He's real dark. I don't know if you can
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but
Jake, who's your favorite second baseman tonight on FanDuel?
Yeah, so I don't really play on FanDuel, but I will go and look at that quick. My favorite second baseman in general, so I have DK pulled up right now. Favorite second baseman in general are Kike Hernandez. He might be outfield eligible on FanDuel, so that may not work. I do like Matt Carpenter a little bit. DJ LeMahieu, of course, up top. And then I really like Jed Lowry for 4,500 on DK. I don't know what he is on FanDuel. But, yeah, those would be the main guys that I'm looking at. I don't really have a punt hot take for second base.
A lot of cheap catchers on DK, or a lot of requests rather for cheap catchers, both on DK and in general. So where would you go to kind of get a catcher in there? Obviously, catcher's always the toughest spot, and you're going to probably want to go with the stack you have. Yeah. But if they're not going with a direct stack, who are the catchers you'd be looking at?
So Austin Barnes is a guy who – is he in the lineup for LA? Yeah, he is, right?
Yes. Yep. At sixth.
Yeah, so he's a guy that I really love against lefties in general, and if you're doing an LA stack, I think he fits in really nicely for 3,000. Alex Avila is around that same price. I know he's another guy that I really like. But yeah, catcher's tough if you're not paying up for Ineta.
Oh man, I thought my Wi-Fi was going out again because it went quiet. I was deeply concerned.
You're good.
Thank God. Basketball, real fast. Somebody asked about Jabari Parker. I like Jabari Parker. I think he's going to be a little overowned, and I would go Rudy Gay personally because Rudy Gay got 37 minutes, and Jabari, there just might be the margins are getting tight for Jabari at his price. So that's what I'll say. Sorry I had to get to that sooner. But we're trying. We're trying to. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, Josh does eat Chick-fil-A in a dark room. That is also an important point I want to hit before lock. How about a third baseman on FanDuel, Jake?
Third baseman. You know what? Let me just pull up FanDuel quick. Maybe I'll even enter in a lineup, a degenerate lineup. How much time do we have before lock?
I think you got 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll just pull up the...
1 minute till NBA lock, guys. 5 minutes till MLB lock.
Jake's room inspires me to be... Well, I didn't know that this was that clean, but...
By, I think, a guy in his 20s who's, single and normal looking, I think it's pretty clean, yeah. I think that's sort of what's throwing people off.
Okay, yeah, third base on FanDuel is nice. Kike Hernandez for $2,500. Sign me up for some of that. So he is third base eligible on FanDuel and first and second base on DK. So that's pretty awful by someone there. Daniel Descalso for $2,400 I like against Velasquez if you're comfortable taking a risk on the weather, although I am warming up to hitters in Philadelphia and Arizona. As I scroll up, let's see. Adrian Beltre, like I said, I think there's something wrong with Triggs, or there may be something wrong. His velocity is down, and when that happens, I want to target against a guy that may be hurt. So Beltre for $3,600 will be pretty contrarian. Matt Chapman probably will be pretty highly owned, but he's an awesome play for $3,700. And then Travis Shaw up top for $42. I love the Brewers lefties. Arenado, obviously, don't really need to talk about him. He's $5,100 though. So.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a decent little price. Anybody else? How about Pinder at $2,100 out in the outfield?
Oh yeah, love that. I love Pinder. If I was stacking the A's, I would really, really like Pinder. He'd be one of the first guys in. You can play him at outfield or shortstop on DK, and then he's outfield eligible for $2,100. That's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, so I like Pinder a lot.
Damn, I'm trying to get some different non-Rockies lineups in, and boy, it's tough to get off those Rockies when you didn't prepare for this.
Yeah, I mean, it almost makes you want to pay up for Morton or Robbie Ray, because if you don't stack the Rockies, and I mean, I didn't, so I don't know, it's tough. You either got to leave a little bit of salary on the table. Right now, I have $700 on the table with my current lineup, and it's a 4-3-1 without giving away my lineup, but you could probably get a bunch of the players that I've talked about. So, yeah.
What do you think about Khalifa?
Who?
Khalifa?
This is he's the guy for Texas. I don't know much about him, honestly. I didn't really consider him. I don't know what his position eligibility is on DK.
A couple of Matt Carpenter questions. Well, first of all, why does Matt Carpenter suck every time I play him? And then secondarily, thoughts on Matt Carpenter tonight?
Yeah, I like him against Wheeler. No problems with Matt Carpenter tonight. So, yeah, I like him. Not in love with him, but sure.
Somebody also asked about prices on how much money to have left on the table. Do you have a feeling on that? To me, I've noticed I'm okay with up to 1,000 on basketball, or on baseball rather. Basketball, I try to keep it under 800, but I think 1,000 for baseball feels right. But I don't know. Do you have a threshold, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the slate. So there was a slate a couple weeks ago, I think, that I had 2,500 left over, and I felt like I was trying to jam in bats. And when I'm trying to force a lineup or force to get up to the salary, I usually just consider that a mistake on DK's part. So I just try to remember to play the best plays, and if you have to leave $1,000 on the table, if you have to leave $700 on the table on a certain slate for a GPP especially, that I'm perfectly fine with that.
Somebody also asked about Ohtani before, but we didn't touch it. But I guess hitting on it real fast. Do you have any thoughts on Ohtani tonight? It didn't seem like a great matchup for him to me, but he is a great player overall.
It's just a matchup thing. Like if he's on his game, I think that he's got the stuff to probably reach value here, if that's even a thing in baseball. He's got all these righties at the beginning of the order for the Astros. He looks awesome, or he looked awesome in his first couple starts. Had a bad start against Boston, but like I said this morning, I just sort of am giving him a pass. He had a blister issue, and it doesn't sound like much, but blisters can really mess pitchers up. Just mess up your grip, and it hurts really bad when you release the pitch.
You're leaking pus all over the place. Not the best.
Yeah, like he's definitely a really risky play, but I'm sure I could see him going 7 innings here and striking out 6 or 7 guys. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all if he does that.
Oh, Tigers and Pirates is delayed right now. The start is delayed, not postponed, but delayed.
Yeah. So, then
all your Tigers and Pirates stacks. You gotta be careful.
That makes me really nervous for that game because I don't even think the rain is really there yet. It hasn't really hit its peak from what I was looking at on the East Coast there.
Yeah, not the best. Boy, if that Colorado game, I'm gonna be pretty upset about that. What Z Cisco is asking a question, which I think we've asked a couple times. Jake, you maybe have a different view on it. What's the equivalent of 5x value for MLB? It's like 2.5 to 3, right?
Yeah. So I don't like. It's really tough to make projections for MLB just because it is such an event-based sport. Like, so what I mean by that is like you hit a home run, it's 14 points on DK, or I think it's 18 on FanDuel. That makes up for your entire night. You could go 0 for 7 before that, and on that 8th at bat against the reliever, you hit a home run. Well, you've reached value. So, like, I honestly don't really have an answer for that. Like I know people that play cash. They do have like scores that they try to achieve every night, but like on a given night, like last night I had I think 137, and I didn't cash a lot of stuff in tournaments.
No big deal, but I think I beat you, Jake.
So I was on the White Sox. Like I had 4 White Sox in my lineup, but I had a Blackman 0, a Correa 5, a Avisel Garcia left early, and then Cahill didn't really do as much as I wanted. Actually, no, I had a 5-man White Sox stack.
This is not me bragging because, like, again, I am an MLB genius. We've established that. But I also had one where I had the guys putting up 0 that got 177, and my best one was 187. And like I had all these guys putting up 20s and 15s, and I was like, I don't even know what this is like because I've had so many of those 0, 0, like one guy doing well. But I do like if you like, it's gonna sound stupid. With MLB, if you do your research and like use FanGraphs and go through it smart and like play the lines, listen to Jake and his tips. If you'd stack the White Sox, it would have been even better than my lineup. But I think it's really the easiest sport to pick up and just use data to figure shit out. I was shocked. Like when my lineups did well, I was like, wow, I didn't even do that much. And granted, tonight I'm sure I'll get shelled. But I think overall there is a lot of merit to both listening to what Jake says and also just putting together a FanGraphs page where you're looking at writers versus pitchers versus a certain hitters and the lefty righty stacks and all that stuff. And if you're targeting ISO, targeting BABIP, you're gonna find this stuff pretty easily. So
yeah. So just to touch on that quick. So all my research starts with the pitchers. So I'm on FanGraphs. I'm on other sites that you can find like the velocity and whisper swing and stuff like that, and their average exit velocity against hitters of different hands. So all my research runs through the starting pitcher, and then after that you get into stuff like bullpen and whether teams are going to have 5 lefties in a row against a right-handed pitcher who's bad against a lefty. So it all starts with pitchers for me, and then I fill in the hitters later, or pitchers that are bad or pitchers that have no out pitch or something like that. Those are the guys I want to stack against, pitchers that cannot miss bats. So
yeah, that makes sense. So there you go. So we're picking up some actual MLB insight. We'll be talking more MLB on these Tuesdays and Thursdays with Jake. Obviously, we'll talk more with Josh too as the season goes on and NBA gets a little less prevalent. But MLB, like we all kind of are learning MLB at the same pace. A lot of us in the chat and me. So I think, we're going to try to do a good job getting you guys up to speed as we go, and hopefully building another sport that we can all play and win money, not ever lose money. Yeah. No, nobody ever loses with us. So we'll wrap up the live stream now. Make sure to go to playline.com/r/awesemo, AWESEMO. We're running a contest tomorrow where you're going to guess the stat lines for 3 players who I forget already offhand. I think it's Harden, Butler, and someone. Westbrook.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's 3 guys. It's really easy. Like, honestly, a good way to build your bankroll. I think we'll have an article up about it tomorrow. Maybe Osmo will tweet out some projections or something. We'll definitely have some information out there in the various channels where it'll be easy for you to win money. So just sign up now. Playline.com/r/awesemo. $5 for free for you if you sign up. A deposit bonus too. So get on there. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with Josh. I'll be back with Jake on Thursday. We're doing this. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and like the videos. Make sure to sign up for awesemo.com premium memberships so you have ownership projections and all of Awesemo's rankings at your fingertips to build your lineups. So you don't just have to rely on questions to me and Jake's beautiful mind. And Jake, any last words?
Yeah, just check out the Night Shift podcast. We started it last night, and it's me doing it for the immediate future for most days. So I'll just be going through the next day. If there's an early slate, I know you guys want early content, so I'll just be doing a quick 20 to 30 minute podcast on the weeknights about the upcoming slate, just sort of breaking it down a little bit, and then we'll still have the show with me and Josh in the mornings.
Yeah, so that's something I think we're going to have an iTunes feed for that soon, too, as soon as they populate stuff. But, putting out more content and trying to use Jake and Josh and myself in different ways to get you guys information. And Jake is a great resource. And Jake, talking to himself, tends to land on some salient points, much more than I think me talking to myself. But, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you again soon.
Good luck, guys.